It has not been yet made official, and I don't think it will be made official till they hold some sort of press conference in early March. It's the 28th as I record this. February is over today. March starts tomorrow. So it should be made official within the next week or so, from what I've been hearing. But WrestleMania 35, or rather 36, the years just keep coming, 36 might be emanating from Tampa, Florida. It's like Rutherford, or I forgot what the name of the arena was, or who plays there. It's a pretty nice arena. And I think the Super Bowl is being held there in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's already been made official. But there has been talks for months about WrestleMania potentially headed back to the Florida area. They were in Orlando back in 2017, just 2 years ago. They were in Miami back in 2012. They were in Orlando as well in 2008 for WrestleMania 24. Now they're headed to Tampa, very likely for WrestleMania 36. Now, for anyone hoping, why don't they go to England? Like, listen, I've long given up on the dream of WrestleMania going to England. I feel like if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Now, granted, the chances are likelier now than they've ever been before, with WWE so connected to the wrestling scene currently over in the UK, between NXT UK and NXT traveling over there quite a few times over the course of the year, and Raw and SmackDown obviously emanate from England a few times over the course of the year as well. So it could happen. It could very well happen at some point. I would suspect they would hold another pay-per-view there first before they hold WrestleMania there to kind of work out the bugs with like the timing and the live stream and stuff like that to see if fans would be willing to stay up that late to watch a wrestling show. And I think they would. I honestly think they would. Because if they held WrestleMania at 8 o'clock, London time, it would be like 3 o'clock here. And I don't know if they would be willing to move WrestleMania to an earlier time slot on a Sunday, but I honestly see no reason not to. It's like watching fucking football on a Sunday afternoon. There's no difference. And I feel like it would be a lot better because it would allow me to go to bed a lot sooner, too. I love, like, the early takeovers that take place over in England that, like, are on early Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday afternoons because they're over by, like, 7 or 8 o'clock. Not even. With NXT, they're over by, like, 6. With WrestleMania, at the latest, it would be over at, like, 8 if the actual show starts at 3, if the show goes 5 hours, which it has in recent years. So that's just my 2 cents. I know they may not be as high on that. I'm not going to sit here arguing about it forever just because by this point it's pretty apparent they're likely not going to WrestleMania or taking WrestleMania to London overseas. So potentially down the road, doesn't look like that's happening with WrestleMania 36. Instead, they're going back to Florida. And like I said, I have mixed feelings on this. Because I am from the East Coast. I'm very fortunate to be from the East Coast, at least in this respect, because it seems like we get every fucking WrestleMania. WrestleMania is in New York, basically my backyard. I live in Connecticut, but it's a train ride away. WrestleMania is in, technically New Jersey, but it's in that vicinity this year. Last year, they were over in New Orleans, which isn't that far away from WrestleMania 33 from Orlando. It's also on the East Coast, which I could have gone to if I wanted to, but I already had my trip booked to Chicago for Money in the Bank weekend, which was well worth the time, and I'm going to WrestleMania this year, so I wanted to take a year off from that. And I was also at the Royal Rumble 2 months before that, so I did not go to WrestleMania last year, but that was also on the East Coast. 33, as they mentioned, in Orlando, which was amazing. A great tourist attraction place. You have Disney World, the PC's right around there. I think it's in Tampa, not Orlando. I could be wrong. But still, Orlando is a great attraction. It's a great tourist attraction. So they were there in 2017. 2016 was Texas. That's a bit farther from me, but also not on the West Coast. The last time WrestleMania was on the West Coast was WrestleMania 31, back in 2015, when it emanated from Santa Clara, California for WrestleMania 31. And that was a great WrestleMania, and even before that, they were in New Orleans. The year before that, they were in New York. The year before that, they were in Florida. So it feels like they fucking have a pinboard, and they throw a dart at it to whether they land on New York, Florida, or New Orleans. And if the pin fails to hit the board, they go to any other random city in the country, whether it be California or fucking Minnesota, which I know people got their hopes up for. And that's great and all, but I understand the complaints like, it might be too cold there during the spring. Dude, fucking New York might be freezing in April. It very well might be cold come April for WrestleMania weekend. And I think people who live in the area can attest to that. Anyone denying it is an idiot. I don't know what rock you're living underneath. Not Dwayne Johnson, of course, hopefully. But I don't know what rock you're living underneath. But to assume that New York is going to be warm, I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it won't be. But with 100% guarantee that it's going to be warm in April for WrestleMania weekend is comical. It has snowed here in the Northeast and in New York in April before. So nothing is stopping the weather from being absolute shit come April. I am waiting for the year that it rains. And it could very well rain this year. Who knows? We have no idea. And I just cannot wait to be stuck in the fucking cold with the pouring rain coming down on me. It's bound to happen eventually. And it could very well be this year, of course, when I'm there. But I'll be excited to be in attendance nonetheless. But it's just disappointing because I would go to WrestleMania in Tampa because I love Florida. I've been waiting to go back since I was there. I was there for WrestleMania. Then I went back just mere months later with my family for a family vacation. I love Florida. I love Orlando. I love the whole, the atmosphere. Not everything is great about Florida, but to go on for a quick vacation, it's awesome. If only to get away from the Northeast for a few days, if not a week or so. It's great for that reason alone. So I would, possibly consider going to WrestleMania 36 in Tampa. But it just sucks for the rest of the country. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, I can only imagine how people on the West Coast feel. Forget about the people over in Europe. They have never gotten a WrestleMania before. They likely will never get a WrestleMania. They will always have to travel, and that sucks. But, like, the people on the West Coast, where are their WrestleManias? The people in California, the people in, like, Las Vegas, like, I don't know if they would hold a WrestleMania over there, but, Texas got one a few years ago, and they had one in, there for WrestleMania 25 back in 2009. So Texas has gotten a few WrestleManias, and it's nice and warm down there around April, so that would make sense. But still, it just feels like they go to the same cities, the same states every fucking year, and I love it personally because I get to go, because it's close to me, and they're nice places to visit for WrestleMania weekend, but I just feel bad for the rest of the country. Like, when are they going back to California? Whatever happened to them going to Minnesota? That's been rumored for years. And clearly they're not going back for WrestleMania 36. I mean, it could still happen, but it's usually known around this point in time where they're going for WrestleMania the following year. And it's practically March. So if the dirt sheets are saying Tampa, it's probably going to be Tampa. So just prepare for that and all the backlash that might ensue from that 3 years removed from when they were last in Florida for WrestleMania 33.